Yes! Mediocre, the top reviews and reviews. Back in here with one more video. Joined today by a very special new guest. Evelyn.
Love to be here. Happy to be here. That was a lot. I'm glad you guys appreciate.
I'm glad that you're here today, all right? Because I think that we're gonna have a fantastic topic to go over. Now, I've had multiple married women on the channel before. I want to say like 4 to 6.
Okay, that's more than I thought.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot. There's been a lot. I've also had married men on the channel as well.
Okay.
As well as divorced men, as well as single men. You know what I'm saying? But I always find the conversations with married women to be the most informative. And you're married.
Okay.
So I want to have this discussion and conversation with you today to get down to the nitty gritty when it comes to all topics marriage. You ready?
For sure. Stats. So I have been married 7 years. This will be my 7th year. Fun fact, I am a young married, right? So I got married at 22. I'm currently 29. I've had an unconventional marriage in certain aspects. It was like long distance for 3 years, on and off. And yeah, what other married facts do you need?
I think any kids?
No kids, not yet.
Okay, now mind you too, we're cool, but I don't know about your marriage like that. You know what I'm saying?
I'm all in my business like that.
No, I'm not all in the business.
We're about to get a little bit in my business.
We said it's unconventional, at least at first. And the first thing that rang in my mind is one of my G's that came over here that recently got divorced. He said his marriage started long distance. Mm-hmm. And that was probably the start of the inevitable fail of the marriage, because he said once they got married, they moved in together and shit just changed from that perspective. So it'll be interesting to hear kind of how you went forth with that. So my views is that I don't think right now in 2021 that I think that the concept of marriage is antiquated in a sense. Mm-hmm. And it speaks to much more of our traditionalist roles between men and women. But today we are modern, we are innovating, we are creative, and we are forging a future for ourselves that is much different than our forefathers and foremothers. So within that, I think that it's antiquated in nature in a sense that we're modern, but we're looking back to a traditionalist, to a traditional contract that has not innovated on itself.
For sure.
So I say that to say is that being a modern woman, married to a modern man, why choose to get married today? And what do you think some of the benefits were within that?
So I agree with a lot of what you said. It is antiquated. And I've always told my friends who are getting married, I'm like, don't look to society's definition of marriage as the rule, as this is what it has to look like. This is how it needs to fit. Number one, marriage is, now it's, recognized by the government, but initially, like, it's for religion. It's for, you had a dowry, and some cultures still have dowries. Like it's like a financial joining of families. Like, I'm giving you a wife in exchange for this, and she's gonna help you with that. It's like we're not doing that no more. We're not doing that no more. Yeah. We don't need that anymore. Everybody is a Christian, right? So it's not biblically driven that I need to be in a relationship. So now marriage has to be redefined. To your point.
But you got married under the antiquated version, because I have my own opinion on what a redefinition of marriage is. I call it marriage ship. So the way that I define it, it's like a basketball contract, right? In a sense that, like, because right now marriage is a contract, right? So, which is until the end of time. And I think that the problem with that is that as human beings, we work on incentivization. We are incentivized to do certain things within our life, and never, not never. Like if you incentivize people within the idea of no matter what you do together, this person has to be locked next to you. People will be de-incentivized to work on and build things within that, which is why you see a 50% divorce rate, which is why you also see 70% of women initiate divorce within that.
I agree. That's because you're operating out of fear. Another thing that I say that's not popular, because that's not true. There is an out of marriage. It's called divorce, right? So in the contract, you can break said contract via divorce.
Okay.
So yes, ideally, you should enter a relationship if you feel like it's something that you want to do for life, but you shouldn't operate out of fear. Like, I am now having to do all these things because I cannot escape, because that's not the facts, and that's not a healthy dynamic to operate from anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't look at my marriage as like, oh, it has to work because we cannot be apart, and I do not want to become a statistic. Like, I look at how I want to grow and nurture and like get to know this person more and make it better. So I'm operating out of a place of a growth mindset and not like a fear mindset. And divorce doesn't scare me. I know that if I get to a point that I need a divorce, it's because I did everything that I need to do to make my marriage work. Yeah. And that is the best decision for me. But if I am operating, because some people do this and you're speaking to those people, I'm not that person. Like, divorce, it could be on the table. It hasn't been on the table in my marriage, but it can be on the table. But for people who feel like once you get into this thing and you're no longer happy and it's no longer serving you, you've done the work internally and with your partner to make it work, and you see that that's not happening, don't feel like you have to stay.
I'm not fearful of marriage. I'm fearful of divorce. And I think that one thing that you stated is that it's on the table. I think that for many men and many people that go under the traditional concept of marriage, it's not on the table because you hear for better, for worse, through sickness, through poor, through death, do us part, like all those different things. So you're supposed to be in a union until at least someone dies, right? Which I guess would then be labeled a successful marriage. But I think myself, and as well as many men who would probably be the breadwinner in a lot of these situations, are fearful of shit not working out. And then 70% of the time, the woman is going to initiate the divorce, and the man being generally the breadwinner for a variety of reasons. Because I feel like I'm saying that and I'm getting a weird look from you, but I can.
No.
Okay. When that divorce happens, alimony, child support if a child is involved. Any situation that people getting effed up, whether it be in divorce or a fight at the local club, right? People are going to be fearful of people getting effed up of something.
Yeah, but you don't want to have like that self-fulfilling prophecy or like that limiting belief, which is why I feel like people need to do their due diligence if they are going to enter a partnership. Yes. Like, you don't want to enter a partnership with those doubts, right? I believe in projections. People give you the information that you need. Ask the questions that you need to ask, and then look at the projection, because most times you knew it was going to get here. You saw a glimpse that it was going to get here, and you still went forward.
Well, that's the reason why I have this channel as well, is because I feel like there's a lot of men that don't understand the key indicators or the red flags. They don't know.
Women too.
Yeah.
People too. Because go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Because people have to understand that relationships require you to know yourself, know what you want, and be able to understand another person. And for you guys to both be able to articulate those things. Most people cannot do that. Like, most people are literally not capable, just in their normal relationships, in their work relationships, are not able to have that level of insight and of who they are and who the person is. So if you haven't been trained to do that and actually learn people on that level, how can you then move forward in a partnership?
I think a lot of people have seen a lot of trauma and
that's
distraught in their life, and they think that the trauma equates to love, right? You know what I'm saying? So like a situation with a dude who, you know, was dating a young lady, maybe it's his girlfriend, and she comes up to his place of business, and then she starts throwing a fit in front of his coworkers, and then he's pissed off. He goes back home later, and then they link up. They start, you know, arguing about it, and then it ends off in the viscous innards being plundered. And then after that, she's like, "Baby, I'm just so sorry. Like, I don't know what gets into me sometimes. Blah blah blah. It's okay, baby. I love you. You know what I'm saying? All that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So like,
that's a very specific example. that you just gave me? I just want to know.
But it's trauma bonding. You know what I'm saying? And I think that there's no community that suffers more than that than those of the melanated complexion.
For sure. I mean, and we've been conditioned to do so, right? Like different things bring people together. I was talking to somebody the other day and I'm like, you could bring everybody in the world together to bond over their like hate for potholes. There are just certain things, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not going to find anybody that's like, nah, like they all right. Like, no, but like within your community, like you find comfort in being able to divulge like your feelings and having that understood. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think unfortunately history has taught us to, you know, to unload that on other people and to let that be like the main discourse. And that's part of our experience, and that is important to have in a partnership. But that's not what brings, like, I'm not going to be bonded to you on the effed up things. I said effed up. That happens. That happens in our lives because, again, you want to be bonded on the things that you love, that you celebrate, that excite you. Like, those are the things that you want to be bonded on because those are the things that last.
Well, but here's the thing, is I think you could be bonded on that, but then not include marriage.
I agree. And so I don't think that, I think that the divorce rate shows that marriage is not for everybody. Like, stop doing that. Stop. Listen, you don't have to get married. Cool. I'm saying that as a married woman. You know, like you, and I think that helps me have a little like insight on, you know. It
does. It gives you credibility.
Right. And I'm not saying that I hate my marriage. I enjoyed my marriage, but I had things in place so that I knew that I was going to enjoy my marriage. And that is something that I wanted to do for the long haul. I'm not going to enter anything with hesitance. But again, I'm looking at projections. I'm not the same person at 29 that I was at 22, but I am version 10.0. I'm not like a new model. Like, you know what I'm saying? And some people don't even, and to your point, I think you actually used that in one of your videos, and I wrote that down. You're like, somebody can get married at 22 and then they're not the same person. You don't know who you are.
Facts.
You know who you are. I don't subscribe to that because as you see people get older, they still don't know who they are. People who don't know who they are.
Well, you're constantly evolving.
I agree, but you knew who you were at that moment. You know who you are now.
If I chose if I chose a wife in my younger 20s, 100% I would have gotten divorced. 100%. Like before I discovered my passion for life, but right, like when I thought that my the elevation of my masculinity and my purpose on this world was to make a woman happy, versus where I am right now towards building, creating, innovating, about my path, about my purpose, about enriching those that look like me, that share the same gender as me, right? Like if I discovered that 30 plus. So even myself, like let's say that I got married early, I would have a fundamental shift in the amount of time that I would dedicate within that marriage. Like let's say if that happened in an alternate universe, I would have had a fundamental shift, and that fundamental shift may have not jived well with her. And that's not even to think of her fundamental shift as well. So like when I think about, again, we're modern people looking at a contract that's thousands of years old, right? And like times were a lot slower back then. Things were less moving and less, right? Like the way that technology is innovating in the way, like even think about transportation during the time when that was created versus right now. And the fact that like I could get on a dating app and before I go into a city, I could start right swiping on shit. And then when I get into the city, I can just link up with, I didn't have to go out to a bar to meet right? Like, so to be 20 years old, I was a baby. And there's a lot of people out here right now like, no, I'm a grown ass person in 20. Shut up. You're a baby.
You're an adult.
And I say that from the most positive perspective about because
I'm saying that with all.
But for real though. And I say that because you will evolve immensely over the next decade of your life.
The next decade.
I think that it exponentially decreases as the decades increase. Like from 0 to 10 is the most change. From 10 to 20, less change. From 20 to 30, less change. So as you get older, it'll be less changes decade to decade.
But I think decade to decade, your interactions with people and your understanding of people change exponentially.
Yes.
As you get older.
I agree.
But that goes into relationships. So like, yeah, maybe earlier on, like it's your knowledge of self that is changing exponentially.
Which is important when you want to get married to someone.
No, for sure. That's what I'm saying. It's not, I don't think that's specific to a certain age. Because again, I've talked to people who are 50 in a marriage and I'm like, wow, sis, it doesn't seem like you even know who you are.
However, there's more 50-year-olds that know themselves than 20-year-olds.
I agree.
Okay.
I'm just saying that there can be exceptions.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
There's outliers, there's exceptions to the rule.
For sure. So I'm saying.
But we're talking about the most.
Okay. So I would say a foolproof way is making sure that you understand yourself in the projection of your evolution. Like in your partners, you need to understand your partner and the projection of their evolution. And don't guess. Ooh, guessing irritates me.
Don't assume.
Having conversation. Y'all gonna be speaking to each other for the rest of your lives, and you're gonna have check-ins because again, decade after decade, year after year, month after month, situation after situation, job after, life changes. Like you're gonna have these check-ins.
Questions, comments, concerns? Y'all already know what to do. Mediocre tourism reviews at gmail.com. Feel free to hit me up. Got an Instagram as well. Link down in the description box down below. It's very long. If you don't know how to spell, link down in the description box down below. Got a Patreon as well. Patreon is booming.
Hey! Well, you're actually good at this. It's like a secret talent.
Listen, at the end of the day, you gotta let them know the appropriate way. Link down in the description box down below. If you want to sign up to the inner circle, we have these conversations on a daily and increasing our value and understanding this crazy world. Evelyn, again, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you guys.
We're gonna run this one back though. All right, we got to talk about it. All right. Until next time, you too. Pardon the masculinity
and femininity.
Base.